Welcome to Story Matrix. Today we're going to talk about some of the most important moments in the history that can't be forgotten. Part 1. The Miracle on the Hudson. On January 15, 2009, U.S. Airways Flight 1549 took off from New York City with 155 people on board. Shortly after takeoff, the plane hit a flock of birds, causing both engines to fail. The pilot, Chesley Sully Sullenberger, had only minutes to make a decision. He realized that there was no chance of making it back to the airport, so he decided to attempt a water landing in the Hudson River. Thanks to Sullenberger's quick thinking and expert piloting, all 155 passengers and crew members survived the landing and were rescued by nearby boats. The event came to be known as the Miracle on the Hudson. Part 2. The harrowing journey of the Lost Boys of Sudan. In the 1980s and 1990s, a brutal civil war raged in Sudan. As a result, around 20,000 children who were between the ages of 5 and 17 were separated from their families and forced to flee their homes. These children, known as the Lost Boys of Sudan, walked for hundreds of miles through harsh terrain, facing hunger, thirst, and danger along the way. Many died from illness, exhaustion, or attacks by wild animals. Eventually, some of the boys were resettled in the United States, where they faced the challenge of adapting to a new culture and building new lives for themselves. The story of the Lost Boys of Sudan has become a powerful symbol of resilience and hope in the face of adversity. Part 3. The tragedy of the Challenger space shuttle. On January 28, 1986, the Space Shuttle Challenger was set to launch into space with a crew of 7 astronauts on board, including Krista McAuliffe, a high school teacher selected to be the first private citizen in space. Just 73 seconds into the flight, the shuttle exploded, killing all 7 crew members. The tragedy was later found to be caused by a faulty O-ring in one of the shuttle's rocket boosters, which allowed hot gas to escape and ignite the fuel tank. The disaster was a shock to the nation and a devastating blow to the space program, leading to a 2.5-year hiatus in manned space flight. It also prompted NASA to conduct a thorough investigation into the disaster and led to improvements in the design and safety of the Space Shuttle program. Part 4. The Boston Marathon bombing. On April 15, 2013, 2 bombs exploded near the finish line of the Boston Marathon, killing 3 people and injuring more than 260 others. The attack was carried out by 2 brothers, Tamerlan and Joe Tsarnaev, who had been radicalized by extremist beliefs. A massive manhunt was launched for the Tsarnaev brothers, who had fled the scene. Tamerlan was killed during a shootout with police, while Joe was eventually captured and later found guilty of all 30 charges against him, including using a weapon of mass destruction. The Boston Marathon bombing had a profound impact on the city of Boston and the nation as a whole. It prompted increased security measures at public events and heightened awareness of the threat of domestic terrorism. The One Fund Boston, a charity established to provide support to the victims and their families, has raised millions of dollars in donations. Since we're talking about bombing, 9/11 is something that always comes to mind and a story that everyone knows. Click on the top to know more about the conspiracies involved around 9/11. Part 5. The Watergate Scandal. In 1972, a group of burglars broke into the Democratic National Committee headquarters at the Watergate complex in Washington, D.C. What initially appeared to be a routine break-in turned out to be part of a larger conspiracy to wiretap phones and steal documents in an attempt to influence the outcome of the 1972 presidential election. As the scandal unfolded, it was revealed that members of the Nixon administration, including Attorney General John Mitchell and White House counsel John Dean, had been involved in the illegal activities. Nixon himself was implicated when it was discovered that he had recorded conversations in the Oval Office, and efforts were made to cover up the scandal and obstruct the investigation. The subsequent investigation by journalists and the U.S. government led to the resignation of President Richard Nixon in 1974, and the scandal remains one of the most infamous in American history. Before we head to the final story of this series, please to like and subscribe and hit that bell icon so you can keep tuned into the Matrix. Part 6. The Enigma Machine. During World War II, the German military used an encryption machine known as the Enigma to send coded messages to their forces. However, the Allies eventually managed to crack the Enigma code, thanks in large part to the efforts of British mathematician Alan Turing and his team at Bletchley Park. Turing's work on developing the bomb machine, which could decrypt messages encoded by Enigma, played a crucial role in the Allied victory in World War II. The work of Turing and his team was kept secret for many years after the war, but has since been recognized as a significant achievement in the history of cryptography. Since then, the Enigma Machine's legacy is widely recognized as being among the most significant and innovative in the history of cryptography, particularly in terms of securing communications.